The ancient life hack you never knew you needed. Imagine for a second that you're standing in the middle of Times Square, or perhaps you're scrolling through an endless, chaotic social media feed. Voices are screaming from every direction, each one claiming to have the secret to your happiness, the ultimate hack for your career, or the one trick to fixing your relationships. It's loud, it's confusing, and if we're being honest, most of it feels like empty noise. But what if I told you that the most sophisticated, battle-tested life hack ever written wasn't posted on a viral thread this morning? What if it was penned 3,000 years ago by a king who had everything: wealth, power, and influence, yet realized that none of it mattered without one specific thing? We are talking about the Book of Proverbs. For many, the Bible feels like a dusty relic of the past, a book of thou shalt nots. But Proverbs is different. It's gritty, it's practical. It's a book that talks about your bank account, your gossiping neighbors, your lazy mornings, and your late-night decisions. It's essentially a father sitting his son down and saying, "Look, the world is a minefield. Here is the map. In the next 40 minutes, we aren't just going to read ancient verses. We are going to unlock a system of living that has guided leaders, thinkers, and families for millennia. We're going to explore why a king's advice from 900 BC is exactly what you need to navigate the complexities of 2026. Whether you're a believer, a seeker, or just someone tired of the noise, there is a frequency here that you need to tune into. So, take a breath, turn off the notifications. Let's step out of the chaos and into the stillness of a wisdom that has stood the test of time. This is the journey through the Book of Proverbs, the invitation to wisdom, choosing your path in a loud world. To truly understand Proverbs, we have to start not with a list of rules, but with a relationship. Imagine a father sitting across from his son on a quiet porch at twilight. The son is about to head out into the world, a world filled with bright lights, tempting shortcuts, and hidden traps. The father isn't angry, he's concerned. He knows that the choices his son makes in the next few years will echo for the rest of his life. This is the atmosphere of the first 9 chapters of Proverbs. It is a passionate, urgent invitation to choose a specific way of being in the world. The book kicks off with a foundational statement that often trips people up. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. For a modern audience, the word fear sounds like cowering in a corner, waiting to be struck by lightning. But in the Hebrew context, this is something entirely different. It's awe. It's the realization that you are not the center of the universe. It's the humble recognition that there is a moral order to the cosmos, designed by a creator, and trying to live against that order is like trying to fight gravity. You might think you're winning for a second, but eventually you're going to fall. This fear is actually the beginning of sanity. It's the moment you stop playing God and start learning how to be human. As the father begins to speak, he warns his son about the first big temptation, the easy path. He describes a group of people who say, "Come with us, let's lie in wait for blood. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil." In our modern world, this isn't just about violent gangs. It's the temptation of the hustle at any cost. It's the lure of the shortcut, the crypto scam, the cutting of corners, the stepping on others to climb the corporate ladder. The father's warning is chillingly practical. Those who set traps for others eventually get caught in their own. They are greedy for gain, and that greed eventually takes away the life of those who possess it. But then, the narrative shifts from the porch to the city square. The scene becomes cinematic. We see a personification that is unique to this book, Lady Wisdom. She isn't hiding in a cave or a temple. She is out in the streets, at the gates, in the busiest markets. She is shouting above the noise of the crowd. This tells us something vital. Wisdom is available to everyone. It isn't a secret code for the elite. It's a public invitation. Lady Wisdom calls out to the simple ones, those who are drifting through life without a compass. She warns that complacency is a silent killer. Have you ever felt like you're just coasting, letting life happen to you instead of making intentional choices? That is what Proverbs calls being simple. Wisdom offers a different way. She says that if you seek her like silver and search for her like hidden treasure, you will understand what is right and just and fair. The middle of this introductory section gets even more personal. The father warns his son about the strange woman, a metaphor for adultery, but also for any seductive distraction that promises immediate pleasure but leads to long-term ruin. He describes her house as a path that leads straight to the grave. It starts with lips that drip honey and words smoother than oil, but the end is bitter as wormwood. Think about the things in our lives that feel good in the moment, but leave us feeling hollow, ashamed, or broken the next morning. The father is saying, don't even go near her door. He isn't being a killjoy. He's trying to protect his son's splendor and his years. He wants him to have a life of integrity, where his fountains are his own and his heart is at peace. Then, in a stunning climax in chapter 8, wisdom speaks again, but this time her resume is even more impressive. She reveals that she was there at the very beginning. Before the mountains were settled, before the oceans were poured out, wisdom was the master architect at God's side. This is a profound philosophical claim. It means that the universe isn't just a collection of random atoms and cold physics. It was built with a logic of wisdom. Therefore, when you live wisely, when you are honest, when you work hard, when you care for others, you are actually tuning your life to the fundamental frequency of the universe. You are working with the grain of reality, not against it. Finally, in chapter 9, we are presented with a choice. It's the parable of the two banquets. Lady Wisdom has built her house, she has prepared her feast, and she invites you to come and walk in the way of insight. But just across the street, Woman Folly is also calling out. She is loud, she is ignorant, and she offers stolen water and bread eaten in secret. The two houses look similar from the outside. Both offer a meal, both offer a connection. But there is one massive difference. At Wisdom's table, you find life. At Folly's table, the dead are there, and her guests are in the depths of the grave. As we close this first section, the question hangs in the air for all of us. The porch light is on. The father has finished his opening plea. Which invitation will you accept? Will you keep drifting with the crowd, or will you stop, listen to the voice shouting in the marketplace, and begin the long, rewarding journey toward the heart of wisdom? The art of living, mastering the street-level skills of life. Now we move from the grand, cinematic invitation of the father's porch into the dusty, crowded, and often messy reality of the marketplace. This is where the rubber meets the road. If the first 9 chapters were the theory of wisdom, chapters 10 through 22 are the practicum. This is the core of the book, a collection of hundreds of short, punchy, and often sarcastic observations about how life actually works. In the United States, we love a good life hack or a success manual. But Proverbs isn't interested in helping you get rich quick or manipulate people. It's interested in character architecture. It assumes that your life is built one small decision at a time, like a mason laying bricks. If the bricks are crooked, the house eventually falls. Let's look at the first masterclass in this section, the power of the tongue. Proverbs is obsessed with what comes out of our mouths. It tells us that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Think about that for a moment. In our world of instant comments, viral tweets, and heated political debates, we often treat words like they're free. But Proverbs says words have a return on investment. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Have you ever been in an argument where you felt that sting in your chest, and you had a perfect, devastating comeback ready to go? The kind of comeback that would win the fight but destroy the relationship? Proverbs tells us that the wise person knows when to shut up. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent. There's a profound psychological truth here. Our words don't just describe our reality, they create it. If you are a gossip, You are planting seeds of estrangement that will grow into a lonely harvest. If you are a person of your word, you are building a fortress of trust that no economy can take away. The second masterclass is about the wallet and the workbench. The Book of Proverbs is incredibly pragmatic about money and work. It doesn't look down on wealth, but it has a very low tolerance for laziness. It introduces us to a character called the sluggard. This is the guy who says, "There's a lion in the road," as an excuse to stay in bed. We laugh, but we've all been there, finding any excuse to avoid the hard thing we know we need to do. Proverbs tells the sluggard to go to the ant. Consider her ways and be wise. No one tells the ant to work. She just does it because it's harvest time. But there's a balance here. Proverbs also warns that better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble with it. To the modern American ear, where more is always better, this is a radical statement. It's saying that your internal peace is a more valuable asset than your net worth. Wealth gained by dishonesty is like a fleeting vapor or a snare. It might look good on Instagram, but it's rotting the soul of the person holding it. The third masterclass is about emotional intelligence and the scoffer. This is perhaps the most modern part of the book. Proverbs distinguishes between three types of people: the simple, the wise, and the scoffer. The simple just doesn't know any better yet. They can be taught. The wise loves correction. They see a mistake as an opportunity to grow. But the scoffer is the troll of the ancient world. They are arrogant. They think they know everything, and they hate being told they're wrong. Proverbs gives us very clear advice on dealing with toxic people. Drive out the scoffer, and strife will go out. It teaches us that our environment matters. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they people who sharpen you, like iron sharpens iron? Or are they people who encourage your worst instincts? The book reminds us that he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. It's a call to be intentional about our inner circle. Finally, this section deals with the invisible laws of integrity. There is a recurring theme here that the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. In a world that often rewards faking it until you make it, Proverbs argues for the long game. It suggests that there is a moral gravity to the world. You might get away with a lie today or a shortcut tomorrow, but eventually your character will be the thing that decides whether you stand or fall when the storm comes. As we read through these chapters, it's like looking into a mirror. It asks us, are you the person who hides a grudge, or the one who covers an offense with love? Are you the one who works hard when nobody is watching, or the one who performs for the boss? This isn't about being perfect, it's about direction. These proverbs are designed to nudge us, day by day, word by word, back toward the path of the righteous, a path that the book promises shines ever brighter until the full light of day. The path of the righteous, navigating power, justice, and the soul of a community. As we move into the third major section of our journey, the camera lens zooms out. We've looked at the personal life hacks, how to manage your tongue, your temper, and your table. But now, beginning in chapter 22, verse 17, the tone shifts. We enter a section often called the 30 sayings of the wise. The focus broadens from the individual to the community. How do we live in a world where power is often abused? How do we handle our responsibilities toward the least of these? And how do we maintain our integrity when the stakes are high? For an American audience, the concepts of justice and fairness are deeply ingrained in our national identity. Proverbs speaks directly to these values, but it grounds them in something deeper than just social contracts. It grounds them in the character of God Himself. One of the most striking warnings in this section is about the ancient boundary stone. In the ancient world, your land was your life, your inheritance, and your survival. Moving a boundary stone was the ultimate white-collar crime, a quiet, stealthy way of stealing from the weak. Proverbs shouts a warning across the centuries. Do not move an ancient boundary stone or encroach on the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. He will take up their case against you. This is a recurring heartbeat in the Book of Proverbs, the redeemer of the poor. The word used here for redeemer is goel, the same word used for a family member who steps in to pay a debt or rescue a relative from slavery. Proverbs is telling us that when we exploit the vulnerable, we aren't just breaking a law, we are picking a fight with the Creator himself. The path of the righteous is paved with a deep, active concern for those who cannot defend themselves. It challenges us to ask, in our pursuit of success, who are we stepping over? Whose boundary stones are we nudging? Then, the book takes us into the halls of power. It offers a masterclass on leadership that is incredibly relevant for anyone managing a team, a business, or a family. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people groan." We've all felt that groan, haven't we? That heavy atmosphere in a workplace where the leader is insecure, dishonest, or self-serving. Proverbs suggests that the secret to lasting leadership isn't charisma or raw power. It is steadfast love and faithfulness. It says that a king's throne is established through righteousness. To the modern ear, that sounds a bit churchy, but in this context, it means consistency. It means being the same person in the dark that you are in the light. It means refusing the bribe, whether that's a literal envelope of cash or the subtle bribe of flattery that makes you blind to the truth. A wise leader is a discerner of hearts, someone who values the truth over the ego. As we navigate these chapters, we also encounter a profound lesson on self-mastery. There is a verse that is often quoted but rarely fully grasped. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Think about that image. In the ancient world, a city without walls was a tragedy waiting to happen. It was defenseless against every passing predator. Proverbs is telling us that our walls are our boundaries, our no's, and our discipline. If you can't control your appetite, your lust, or your anger, you are broken into. You are at the mercy of every external circumstance. The path of the righteous isn't about being a goody two-shoes. It's about being fortified. It's about building an inner life so strong that when the cultural winds blow or when personal tragedy strikes, your city remains standing. This section also touches on a topic that every American parent worries about: the next generation. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This isn't a money-back guarantee or a magic formula. It's a proverb, a general principle of life. It's a call to intentionality. It reminds us that we are always teaching, whether we mean to or not. Our children are watching how we handle the waiter who gets the order wrong, how we talk about our boss behind their back, and how we spend our hidden hours. The path of the righteous is a legacy we build for those who come after us. Finally, Proverbs 25 through 29 gives us some of the most profound advice on handling conflict and enemies. In a culture of cancellation and clapping back, Proverbs offers a different, more powerful way. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. This isn't about being a doormat. To heap coals of fire was an ancient metaphor for causing someone to blush with shame because of your unexpected kindness. It's about killing them with kindness to the point where they are forced to confront their own malice. It's a strategy for peace that requires a massive amount of internal strength. It shows that the wise person is the one who can break a cycle of hatred rather than just adding another link to the chain. The path of the righteous described here is a vision of a flourishing society. It's a world where the strong protect the weak, where leaders are servants, where individuals have self-mastery, and where kindness is the ultimate weapon. It's a challenging path, certainly. It's uphill, it's narrow, but as the book promises, it's the only path that leads to a firm footing. The legacy of character, small wonders, and the grand finale. As we reach the final chapters of this ancient masterpiece, the camera shifts focus one last time. We've heard the voice of the king, the voice of the father, and the voice of Lady Wisdom. Now, in chapter 30, we meet a man named Agur. He doesn't start with a boast. He starts with a confession that feels incredibly refreshing in our world of know-it-alls. He says, "I am too stupid to be a man. I have not learned wisdom." This is the ultimate paradox of Proverbs. The wisest thing you can do is admit how little you actually know. Agur looks at the vastness of the world, the wind in God's fists, the waters wrapped in a garment, and he realizes that human intellect has its limits. He asks a famous, humble prayer: "Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me." Think about that. In a culture that obsesses over more, Agur prays for just enough. He's afraid that if he's too rich, he'll forget God, and if he's too poor, he'll be tempted to steal. It's a prayer for the golden mean, a life of contentment and balance. Agur then points our eyes toward the natural world to teach us about smallness and power. He looks at the ant, who isn't strong but prepares for winter. He looks at the rock badger, who is frail but makes its home in the high cliffs. He looks at the locust, who has no king but marches in perfect rank. And he looks at the lizard, which you can catch with your hand, yet it lives in the palaces of kings. The lesson: you don't need to be the biggest, the loudest, or the most powerful person in the room to be effective. Wisdom is the great equalizer. It allows the small to survive and the weak to find a place of honor. It's about using what you have with maximum intentionality. Finally, we arrive at the grand finale, the famous Proverbs 31. For centuries, this chapter has been read as a checklist for women, but in the original Hebrew context, it's an alphabet of valor. It's an acrostic poem, where every line starts with a consecutive letter of the alphabet. It's meant to be a summary of everything the book has taught. We meet the woman of valor, Eshet Chayil. She isn't a delicate flower sitting in the shadows. She is a CEO. She is a real estate investor. She is a manufacturer. She is a philanthropist. She is a mother. She is a strategist. She dresses herself with strength and her arms are strong. But the most important thing about her isn't her productivity, it's her character. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. Imagine being so rooted in wisdom, so prepared for the future, and so secure in your integrity that you can literally laugh at the unknown. That is the goal of the entire book of Proverbs. It concludes with the famous line, "Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." It brings us full circle. We started on the porch with a father's warning, and we end in a bustling, happy home where wisdom has been fully integrated into a human life. The legacy of character isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become and the laughter you bring into the future. Taking a step back from the text, I look at the Book of Proverbs not just as a religious document, but as a technological manual for the human soul. We live in an era of information overload, where we have all the data in the world at our fingertips, but very little skill in living. What I find most profound about this book is its relentless focus on the small things. It suggests that your life doesn't fall apart because of one giant mistake. It falls apart because of 1,000 tiny compromises. And conversely, a good life, what the Greeks called eudaimonia, isn't achieved through one stroke of luck. It is built through the daily habit of choosing kindness over sarcasm, hard work over shortcuts, and humility over ego. Proverbs offers us an anchor. It reminds us that there is a grain to the universe. If you live with the grain with honesty, generosity, and self-control, life has a way of opening up for you. If you live against it, you get splinters. In our chaotic, fast-paced American life, this ancient wisdom is a call to slow down, to listen to the voice in the marketplace, and to realize that the most successful person isn't the one with the most followers, but the one whose walls are strong and whose heart is at peace. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the Book of Proverbs. Whether you've read these verses 100 times or this is your first time hearing them, I hope you found a nugget of gold that you can carry into your week. This book is a living thing, and its advice only truly works when we put it into practice. If you enjoyed this storytelling exploration of the Bible, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. It helps us more than you know to keep bringing these ancient stories to life for a modern audience. Like this video if it gave you some perspective today, and share it with someone who might be standing at their own crossroads right now. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. Which part of Proverbs resonated with you the most? Is it the power of the tongue, the warning about the sluggard, or the image of the woman of valor? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and I love hearing your insights. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll continue to dive deep into the most influential book in history, one story at a time. Until then, walk wisely, live well, and remember, the path of the righteous shines ever brighter.